Welcome back, everyone. This is Lauren coming at you from the break zone with another set review. This one being for Opus 7. And we're going to go over some Earth stuff. All right, so, oh, wow, I should really clear that up. Oops, clear. Okay, and there we go. All right, so we're going to start off with Asmodai. 5-drop 8K, that's not on curve, but the fact that he breaks a dual forward on entry if you pay with only Earth CP is quite good. So it doesn't have a restriction on the cost of the dual forward, so that's quite nice. Being able to play it in decks that have mostly Earth cards, or maybe just being able to dual one or like 3 Earth backups, switching a card, you'll be able to definitely do some work. Is it gonna fit in decks? Well, it helps with the theme of Earth, which is more to be a bit of a mid-range or like a late game deck, and maybe not late game, but definitely mid-range. Either way, that's a really nice effect. Is it gonna fit in most decks? That's tough. That's tough, but I think it's a very good effect. It's very nice. At that cost, being able to get a 8,000 power 4 with something that just, let's see, does it have anything like break, forward? Maybe not exact match. I'm trying to think how many. Well, okay, fine. Let's not go over that. But I mean, there's definitely like Mask Woman that could do that. Okay, and even she has a restriction on it, but she's a backup. And there was also Mushushu, right? Musushu. Okay, I can't spell that card worth crap, but there you go. Mushusu. Dang it, I missed an S. Anyways, and you get a forward out of it. That's pretty cool. I like the effect. I like the fact that when I play Earth most of the time, I do play Earth as one of the main elements, if not the primary element in 2-element decks. So I do see this card, the potential for this card to be a big deal as maybe like a 2 of, and is gonna get value when it hits. Not too many decks play with that many Brave Forwards or activating effects, so it could definitely come into play and sometimes save you from a really big forward giving you some problems. Okay. Next up, we've got Vanille. So unfortunately, she does have to kind of compete against the other Vanilles, which are quite nice. This one being the Mono Earth EX burst deck, as well as this one being very good and while being featured in so many decks from Meta Potion, being able to use this card along with Delita. So whenever she enters the field, this one is a lot harder to pull off because the break effect is based on the revealed cards. So if you use it in combination with, let's say, Yuna that came on this set, you can definitely know what's the top card of your deck without having to work too hard for it. There's also Yule, which I can't spell correctly either. You will be able to look at the top of your deck. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of cool. 4-drop 7K, not the most relevant. Being a Final Fantasy 13 category is a little bit more relevant, and but that special effect is really nice. I mean, being able to duel all forwards your opponent controls can definitely swing the game for you. Keep in mind she doesn't have a Brave, so using that effect will most likely cause her to be dulled and not attack that turn. But if, for example, you were to use Vanille with, I mean, this is a bit of a stretch, obviously. Either you give Wool's a popular card to use, so give her Brave when she attacks. You use her ability to dull all forwards your opponent control, so that you could go ahead and swing in. That'd be pretty cool. Another way to give her Brave would be, well, Momodi, without having to stretch too far for it, but that also means you're playing this Vanille, not the other Vanilles, and that you're, what's it called? You are, oh, I got a little distracted. Give me a second. I think somebody's. Oh, anyways, sorry about that. Got a little distracted for a second. Had to check if what the chat was saying. Either way, it seems like too much of a stretch to be able to do all that. But that effect is quite nice. But even the primary effect, it takes a lot of work to get it going. On top of the fact that now you're playing a whole bunch of vanillas, and at least quite a few vanillas, in order to successfully be able to get that effect off. Okay. Next up, we've got Carbuncle. This people have been talking about this card too. Pretty nice to be able to curve out into different backups. Say like during if you're not the first player start like okay. If when you roll for priority or whatever, decide who goes first. If you were to go second, you would be able to play Carbuncle during your opponent's first turn, so that during your first turn, you would be able to curve out to Carbuncle into, let's say, Momody, like a 3-drop backup or a 1-drop backup of Earth, for example. Back attack being quite nice. There's other tricks to it, like leaving 2 CP open out to bluff Hecaton Kier. To bluff a Hecaton Kier, for example. So your opponent's thinking, oh, you're leaving it out so that you could play that summon from your backups. But with a Carbuncle, you'll be able to, if you have Carbuncle in your hand, you could play it out like, you know, instead of the Hecaton Kier in case you don't have something to really use it on, for example. So that's not bad. It's a bit of a stretch. It's really, really good when you play during your opponent's turn, especially turn 1, to be able to curve out a little earlier. Otherwise, it's a bit of a cheeky play, you could say. I don't know if it's going to be used that much, but it does have potential if you're going for the a lot of first turn things, or like you mulligan aggressively to Carbuncle. There's definitely ways to do things like that, but it does, like, at first glance, it seems that people just want to play it first turn, like during your opponent's first turn when you're on the draw. So if you're able to either get it off your first 5 or you mulligan and you're able to get into it, that's kind of cool. But I wouldn't want to put 3 copies of this card in my deck, at least at the moment. It's an interesting mechanic that we haven't seen before, so maybe I'll test things out later on. But so far, I'm not super impressed by this card, except if I am on the draw and I play it during my opponent's first turn. Okay, next up we got Galoof. I think this card is quite good. It doesn't have any enter the field effect, but being able to not be broken during your turn does give you ways to pull off some shenanigans. I mean, there's Delita, which is there's some versions of Delita that ask you to break a forward in order to do something, and in this case, Galoof can't be broken during your turn, so you could play this Delita and choose this character Galoof, and hypothetically break it, but then it won't be broken, so that'll be fine. You won't lose anything, and then you get a 3-drop 9k that has a potential useful special. Or use this Delita, who's a little more popular, and you'll be able to take out 5,000 or 5 CP forward on that your opponent controls. So that's pretty interesting. We've gone over this card a little bit. I think we did the reveal of this card with Richard Brady over during was it the Seattle Crystal Cup? So there's definitely a lot to say about this card. It's pretty cool. I love the art. It's amazing. It's a Dawn Warrior. If I haven't gone over Dawn Warrior enough, and I need an exact match. There we go. Definitely goes. You'll be able to play it off of Kelger, either versions of Kelger, from the one from Opus 7 or the one from Opus 3. The forcing your opponent to block, if possible, is quite nice too, because, well, Galoof will be broken during your turn, and at 9,000 power, and that's quite relevant. Would be able to trade off with a lot of would be able to break a lot of opposing forwards that way. On top of the the fact that his special is quite nice, doesn't require anything but discarding his a copy of himself with the special, and if you attack with Aloof, it becomes dull, and your opponent wants to swing back instead. You could say stop, like they might let it through, like, oh, okay, well, you know, it'll be fine, whatever. I'll just swing back and deal 2 damage to him. Then you play the special, and you could prevent 2 of their forwards from attacking that turn. That's going to be pretty interesting. And then the following turn, you attack, and you'll be able to use 2 Earth CP to force one of those forwards to block. Alright. Next up we got Kral, who's a Warrior of Light, Final Fantasy V, Category 5 as well. So there's definitely a lot of Category 5 things you can do with it, especially in title series. Warrior of Light is also quite relevant. She's on curve, 4 CP, 8,000 power. Her abilities are just really good. A little bit reminiscent of Garnet. Is it Garnet 2Ts? Nope, Garnet 1T. There we go. Reminiscent of Garnet, whenever you play a summon, being able to give, well, in the case of Garnet, it's all of your forwards you control, plus 1,000. In the case of Kral, only one of your forwards, only one forward that you choose will get that little boost. But that extra effect at the bottom, being able to prevent Kral from being chosen by opposing abilities, could be quite useful if you make a summoner deck with Kral in it. That's quite nice because most removal would be a lot of removal is through enter the field effects from forwards or from characters, or even maybe not removal but some other things, like for example the opposing Genesis. By discarding a summon, you'll be able to prevent that the Dole and Freeze ability from Genesis, for example. So that's quite nice. Being able to open up your deck to play summons of any element. I mean, if you really wanted me to pull up all the summons that you could think of, that's just, well, these are not all summons, but there's a, okay, fine. Let's go with that instead. There we go. There's, wait, did I do something wrong here? Summon, yeah, exact match. All right. So you definitely have your pick of the litter. When you have Kral in play, you will be able to just use any of your CP of any cost of any element to play any of these cards. And if you're in Earth already, you're probably playing. Wait, there we go. You're probably playing Titan. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyways, oh wait, I forgot. Warrior of Light. So by being a Warrior of Light, you can get all the little Warrior of Light things, bonuses that are available. And did I do something? Warrior of Light. Okay. Let's see. Is there a clear all? Nope. Clear, clear, clear. What? Clear. Clear. Okay, Warrior of Light. Okay, did I just break the site? I see light. Okay, let's see Warrior of Light. There you go. That's a little bit better. So definitely some synergy with other Warriors of Lights, whether you want to count on this one to prevent 2,000 damage every time she takes damage from a source, or let's say, well, Ingus would give her a boost also because she's Earth. And let's see what else. I'm not gonna trigger off that wall, but Sarah would also be able to return her from your break zone onto the field. So there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of synergy between Warriors of Lights, and that is actually going to make a difference. Okay, Kolka, search for Earth Forward. So we've seen this a little bit before. Let me think. Rollweb is the first one I could think off the top of my head. So other elements have had this ability. option available to them through backups, 4 cost, being able to search a forward from your deck, add it to your hand, and I think it's Isail. Am I not spelling it correctly? Isail. Well, let's see. So, let's see. There you go. Yeah, I'm spelling it correctly. Isail also had the ability, so it's kind of nice. It is a 4 cost, so you could technically count it as a 2 cost because you get a card out of it. But even then, like all these other elements, whenever they have that available to them, I haven't seen it used as much. It does feel a little bit slow for how everything is right now in the meta. So having that option available is quite nice, gives you a lot of flexibility. Maybe you could make a toolbox deck where you use different forwards. But it's an interesting card. It's nice to remember that you have that option in case you want to search out Earth forwards. But I don't expect to see it too often. Okay, let's see. This card is pretty nice, but if you want to play a character of cost 6 or 6 or more, there's not too many of them. Let's see. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. And it has to be, there we go. There we go. Looks a little bit better. So there's definitely a good amount of them, but how many of them do you want to depend on in order for this to be good is really up to you. One of the things you wait, oh, there's more. Okay. One of the things you want to keep in mind that's a pretty something that people were discussing when this card was revealed is that if you play the early game where you play backups, then you take some damage, and you at one point play Zagnal. Eventually, if you Shantoto, normally the problem with Shantoto is that, okay, so you play Shantoto in the same turn, it's going to be very difficult for you to have, it's very rare for you to have enough CP to play another forward. So you reset the board, but during your opponent's turn, they can go ahead and take the initiative again by playing a forward before you do. In this case, though, Zagnal you could put the trigger for Zagnal on as part on the stack with Shantoto on top. Shantoto resolving first. Thus, Shantoto will remove all fours from the game, and after that, Zagnal will resolve, turn it to a forward. And if it was there before the beginning of the turn that you play Shantoto, you will be able to attack with it, and that's pretty nice. But this just becomes a 9,000 power forward, nothing extra. The little bonus for it is that it's only a 2 CP. It's a multi-card. It is a 13 character, so that would trigger off 13 like Final Fantasy 13 things. But I don't expect to see it too much. But there are some possibilities, especially with the combination of Zagnal and Shantoto. Alright, Shantoto. So it was useful and limited for spending an extra CP to be able to play whatever element you wanted. In terms of other things, though, I mean, obviously you can search it out with a star symbol. And I am spelling that incorrectly. Symbol. Okay, star. Or maybe I'm just, there we go. That's why. Alright, you could search it out with star symbol, which is the EX burst. But I don't expect this to be played too much, except if you really, really want those other elements. Even then, it's going to cost you 1 to be able to trigger that off. Main reason why I don't expect this to be used very much is that it is named Shantoto, unfortunately. This Shantoto is one of the most popular Shantoto, is the most popular Shantoto that we've seen around. Even in terms of Earth cards, in most Earth decks, not every Earth deck, you would see 1 or 2 copies of Shantoto. And even if not for that one, this one still, if once in a while I see a couple of cheeky plays with it, and it's pretty good. But this card, I don't expect to see it too much, just because it has to compete with this version of itself. Alright, next up we got Summoner. So, one of those cards that get an extra bonus effect if you paid for it with the CP. So, at least with the 3 CP, it's a little easier to pull off. But, alright, if you're playing Ice and you want a 7,000 power forward that freezes something, I mean, with I've gone over this before. Um, Genesis for 1 more CP. You also get that discard effect whenever it deals damage. It dulls and freezes, not just freeze. So I would advise you to play Genesis instead of Summoner for just 1 more CP, since you already have access to ICP if you want to get that effect. Okay, so that Dawn Warriors. So I've gone over Dawn Warriors enough time, but you know what? Then we're gonna go over them again. All right, the 2 Kelgers, be able to play out the card for a little bit of a more CP cost-efficient turn, or just straight off the top of your deck if you really want top 5. All of these little abilities are reminiscent of Gilgamesh, if I can spell it correctly. Gilgamesh. Of this Gilgamesh, where you were able to use so many different CP from backups, most likely, in order to get all those effects. It also gets that little boost. The first one being really easy to fit into an Earth deck because you pitch an Earth card, and he'll be able to get a plus 2,000 power until end of turn. For the other effects, obviously you have if you play Shantoto, if you play more of a mid-range late game deck, Shantoto would allow you to have all those little different elements on top of that. And if you have an Earth backup, then Shantoto would be able to be used for all the other effects, all the other to generate the element CP that you need for all the other effects. So that's kind of nice. Is it going to be game defining? I don't think so, but it is an interesting card. At least it is. Well, it is just the fact that it's a Dawn Warrior, it's on curve at 4 CP, 8,000 power does mean a little something. All right, Tama unfortunately competes with other Tama cards, which this Tama used to be quite popular, especially since it's a 2-drop. This one's also being a 2-drop. It's quite nice, but this little effect is pretty huge in terms of being able to play either backups or forwards during your opponent's turn. And this Tama has been seen here and there during Opus 6, bringing back, let's say, Wall or Daluma from your break zone, and having that effect to come back again. I mean, being able to get a good amount of value out of this card is quite nice. This one's a little more restrictive in terms of only being able to help you with World of Final Fantasy cards. So this one actually works with backups, at least. It's cards, not just forwards. But let's take a look at World of Final Fantasy cards in order to see what you'd have available to you at that point. Let's see, World of Final Fantasy right here. Okay, so you do have your pick of the litter for this. So it's kind of nice, but is that enough? It does add it to your hand, so it would still compete with, if you're looking for just forwards, it would compete with Miner, which is a card that we've seen quite a bit since it came out, as well as at this point it will compete with, what was the other card I was thinking of? Well, we'll go over it in a bit. Necromancer also be, well, nope. Sorry, usually I'm thinking of Necromancer plus Miner, but Miner is the one that you would compete with. Okay. All right, next card. Tilika. So this card changes the way the game is played. I mean, 2-drop 5k is okay. It's not a buff curve. It's not a 2-drop 6k. But the fact that you can now discard light and dark element cards from your hand to produce CP is nice. But is it game breaking? I don't know. I don't think too many people are going to be using this card in order to make a heavy light or heavy dark deck. But because there's times when if you don't have this card, then you won't even be able to do all that. And if somehow your opponent is able to get rid of, let's say, your Cosmos or your Spiritus or any of those cards that allow you to have more than one light or dark forward on the field at the same time, would actually be backbreaking. Let's say you have 2 light forwards and they break your opponent breaks your Cosmos. All of a sudden, all your light forwards will have to be put into the break zone. So you won't even be. It would be pretty devastating. Okay. Next up, Necromancers. So one of our locals, Philip Marciano, did point out to me that Necromancer and Miner, like you could bring back a job set and unit from your break zone to the field. So 2-drop is really relevant early game, and later down the line, be able to get to play Miner, and then since Necromancer will be broken by the time Miner enters the field, and the effect will go on the stack for Miner, you'll be able to get Necromancer back into your hand. So that's a little bit of a way to play around with Miner. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. In terms of job set and units, there's so many of them. Let's take a look at some of the job set and units that are, let's say, cost 4 or higher. I don't think there's any of them like that, but I don't think there's too many of the ones that like are 6 and above, but I could be wrong. And there's a decent amount of 4 CP ones. DGS Trooper First Class is interesting, as we've seen it in the Turbo Discard deck, but I don't think they're going to be playing Necromancer for it. And for example, getting this Warrior, no, that doesn't count. But getting, for example, a Shock Trooper or something like that would be kind of fun. There's a lot of possibilities here, but for the most part, I think this card would be played in order to be used with Miner. Alright, Noctis was the Opus 7 Buy a Box promo. It's huge, it's awesome. If you use it with, let's see, let me clear some of these fields. Oh goodness. Fusoya. If you use it with Fusoya, you can do just so many tricks. Being able to deal yourself a point of damage in order to trigger the effect where he's able to choose a forward, and each of them deal damage to each other is quite nice. He's good on defense. When your opponent is attacking you with smaller forwards, Noctis will be able to fight them and take him out. In case they attack with a forward, then it's really choose up to 1 forward, so you don't have to fight. And if they somehow try to take him out, you could discard. You could pay this cost in order to reduce the damage on 6 to 0. So it would even be able to, let's say, if you take if you allow a 7,000 power forward to go through and want to take it out, so it you don't have to deal with it next turn again, you would be able to have Noctis go ahead and trigger his effect to have both forwards fight each other and take each other out, but your Noctis will not take any damage, still deal the 7,000 power damage to the opposing forward, taking it out. And with Fusoya, you will be able to pick when you get to 6 points of damage. So if your Noctis is not in play yet and you want to play it, then you could go ahead, go for your 5th point to your 6th point with Fusoya, for example, play your Noctis, get the EX burst. There's a lot of cool effects to be done with it. Let's say if you're feeling like you can live on the edge, if you don't have a Noctis yet and you're about to take some damage, maybe get to about 5 points of damage instead, like after the fact, you could Fusoya, and let's say your opponent dealt you 5 points of damage with some of their forwards and goes ahead and plays another one afterwards. If you have Fusoya available to you, you could go ahead and deal yourself your 6 points of damage, and if you have Noctis on top of the deck for damage, then it'll be able to just go ahead and break it forward. Okay. Next up, Bahamutian Soldier, multi-card, 2-drop 5k is not great. Monsters, it's kind of nice to have monsters out. I mean, there's a couple decks that does make use of monsters, but not all of them do. But even as a 2-drop 7k from the bonus, I don't see it being used too much. It is a World of Final Fantasy character, so I can't say that name. Anyways, so it would count towards her if you were trying to get 5 or more World of Final Fantasy characters on the field to get the big boost for her. But I don't expect this card to be played very much. Alright, Geomancer. Kind of well, it's a Category 5 characters, that makes a difference in the title series. Or if you really want to go old school, I mean, you could go ahead and compare it to Monk. Does some very similar things. So, okay. Do I expect this card to be played much? Probably not. I mean, we haven't seen this Monk in a while, so I don't expect this Geomancer to make a difference. Alright, Prish. Okay, that's it works really well with other Prishes. Unfortunately, though, I was talking with another one of our locals, really good deck builder, Brian Eng, and well, if I can spell Prish correctly, there we go. You definitely have some other ways to get her in place. So if you were to, for example, have this Prish, and after that, when she goes from the field to the break zone, pay that 1 Earth, you could go ahead and put this one in instead from your hand and be able to break an deal 9,000 power, 9,000 damage to an opposing forward. Or if you, for the less efficient play, you could have this Prish do the trick instead. Well, the problem though is that if your opponent is playing the popular card Zidane, then saving your Prish in your hand might not be that safe. Okay. Flan is more relevant because it is named Flan, and it also means that this Flan can go ahead and search for that Flan. I don't expect this card to be seeing too much play. The discard effect is pretty nice, as discarding this Flan to get plus 1,000 power boost could make a difference in terms of trades and whatnot. The first effect, I don't expect to see it too much, but a combination of these two and having discard effect, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be that good. There's a lot of efficiency to be had, though, off of searching out cards to pitch for, like, so be able to turn 1 ICP and playing this Flan 1 turn, and on following turns being able to search out other Flans with it does add a lot of value, because all of a sudden you turn 1 backup and using it 1 turn, and on every turn instead that 1 backup will turn into 2 CP. That is very reminiscent of, wait, no, that is the wrong card. That is very reminiscent of this card, where you could turn this back up, dole it, and every turn be able to search out your deck to get 2 CP out of it instead. But unfortunately, this card with the other Flan would be a little more restricted, obviously, as it would only be able to generate to get you a Earth or Ice card. Okay. Next up, this is kind of nice, being able to get any element backups, but I don't think it's going to see too much play unless you really, really want to bank on having every element available to you, because 4 CP is a lot, especially when you don't have any extra effects that would affect it right away. And I don't really think it's going to fit in the meta. It's just a little bit too much of 4 CP for a 4 CP backup. Okay, let's see. Monk, if you play with lightning, deal 5,000 damage. That's kind of nice though. If you're able to get, so the fact that it's a 4 CP, also category 5, it's on curve 8,000 power, means that for the 4 CP, you'll be able to discard a lightning and an earth card. So you don't have to do those shenanigans where it has to be from backups to be able to pull this off. I mean, obviously you could use backups to get your lightning or earth, especially if you have either of the two of 2 backups available for CP that are either lightning or earth. You'll be able to just pitch any other card afterwards to play this card out and deal 5,000 damage to forward, which is relevant because of, well, I don't know how many times I have to pull up this card. Turge. Did I? There you go. Oof. Because this card gets to 5,000 when you have 2 cards or less in your hand, which happens quite a bit against them with this card. But this could definitely help against it. But I don't know if it fits in most decks in the meta. Is it enough? And how popular is Earth Lightning? I haven't seen as much Earth Lightning besides Scions, and in Scions, I don't think this Monk is going to make the cut. Yojimbo, easy to compare this card to Titan. And it is cheaper. It's easier to play because it's a 4, so you could discard 2 cards to play it. But the effect is definitely more relevant in terms of if it's an EX burst because it's plus 3000 power. But keep in mind that unlike Titan, this one was more like a Hecaton Care. I just want to make the comparison because it's an EX burst of almost the same cost, but the effect is much different. This one will always be plus 2000, and your forward doesn't take damage from it. While Heka, you can think of this as a bit of a mix of the 2 cards. Hecaton Care and Titan somehow combined and made your Jimbo. But so it's a fight card, but off EX Burst it gives you that little bonus. So it's Hecaton Care Plus, you could say. Cool card. It was awesome and limited. Is it gonna see tournament play? There's a possibility. It's not a bad card. I think this card has some potential. I like it, but I do like Titan quite a bit. And given the fact that they might compete for the same spots, I might give Titan the edge. And that's it for Earth. So hopefully you like what we do. You like this. This format's a little bit different. It's a little bit raw, uncut, as I am streaming it instead of doing a little bit of production in terms of being able to showcase the cards and everything. But this is not a deck profile or whatever I used to, a deck tech video. So it's a little bit different. Hopefully you like it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to add them down below. Go ahead and check out our YouTube channel that I linked over in this Twitch channel. And if you subscribe, then you'll be entered in any of the future drawings thanks to MagicTechGames.com for providing all these prizes. And any of our subscribers that are there when we reach our milestone of 800 subscribers will be entered into a random drawing, and whoever is picked will get to choose between any single one of these things to and then we'll send it out to them. So we have Iconic Masters Horizon Canopy, Mox Amber from Dominaria. Wait, Horizon Canopy from Iconic Masters. Let me do that again. Horizon Canopy from Iconic Masters, Mox Amber from Dominaria, Character Sleeves Cactuar, 1 pack of 60 sleeves. Lightning Plushie. Or Shiva deck box from the Toronto Crystal Cup with the Tago Kageyama's, the producer of the game. His nice little autograph is pretty awesome. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to add them down below. It's a bit of a different format. I'm still trying to tune it, and if you have any suggestions about it, feel free to add them. If you have any suggestions on even like some of the prizes that you'd like to see for our future giveaways, feel free to let us know what you'd like. I mean, we'll consider it, as long I mean, if it's not weird and astronomical, then we'll do our best to kind of see what we can do. And we'll catch you guys next time.